So the Detroit Lions had not played a game outside until yesterday at Lambeau Field. And it just didn't matter at all whatsoever. And Dan Campbell spoke about the elements and Detroit Lions football afterwards.
But I know this. I'm not shocked one bit that we came out here and played pretty good football out in the elements. That we're built for this, man. And it doesn't matter. And just because we play indoors, it doesn't matter. I mean, we can play anywhere. We can play in the snow, we can play in the rain, we can play in the mud. That's just us. And we're built to win.
You know who that was right there? That was the head coach of the best team in the NFL. That's who that was.
In the NFL?
Yeah, put that in your power rankings pipe and smoke it. Yep. I'll take Detroit over Kansas City right now.
All right. I don't think I'm ready to go there. I will say this. If you look at the way the roster is constructed, I think the way they can run the football and control games, and Goff, for whatever reason, there's been this narrative that like he can't play in bad weather games, which I don't know. I guess coming from L.A. and going to Detroit where you're playing in domes, I'm sure there's a little bit of a statistical difference in his play, but every time I watch him, I don't think it bothers him. So I'm not sure where that narrative started. Again, I think it's just something that people conjure up because guys play in dome all the time. So they're like, oh, they're a dome team. They can't, they play indoors. They can't play outdoors. I mean, look how physical this team is. I mean, that's ultimately what you're talking about when you're saying being able to play outside in the elements. I mean, that's what Detroit's been.
They can run the football. Their defense shows up. Goff's dealing. Dan Campbell's got them right where they need to be. There's support there. Jared Goff's getting chance at Lambeau Field. Like I don't know that it's close, especially in that division. By far and away the best team in that division. And I just don't see anybody in the NFC that I look at right now and go, oh, that could present a problem. Nobody.
Philly could present a problem. And I'm not so sure that Washington can't present a problem the way they're playing. They're playing well on defense. They have balance on offense. Philly looked better last night. Like, I mean, I know it wasn't the most impressive team and the most impressive victory, but Philly just seems to have something about them that makes you still not – I stay on the fence with them. I don't go on one side. I don't sit there and say this is a team that's going to trend in the wrong direction, but I also don't sit there and say that they're the best team, but they could be a problem. Now, I don't know that I find anybody else. I mean, I would have said Green Bay is a team that you have to contend with, but they just took care of them. But I think Washington is this is a team that's trending in the right direction. I think under Dan Quinn's eye, I think that this team has really, really, along with the culture shift at the top in leadership, I think that this team is actually, after this weekend, you can actually definitively say that this is one of the better teams in the NFC. So I think it's two teams out of the NFC East that Detroit would have to concern themselves with. I'm not so sure there are too many others out there in the NFC.
Niners not named.
Niners not
process.
named.
Yeah.
Niners not named.
Yeah.
Possibly, potentially, but I just think health-wise, this is a rough year for them.
I mean, if you believe Adam Schefter, I mean, the coolest place in town is the Washington Commanders. I mean, like, I don't know if anybody saw that report. Apparently, like, everybody's, like, reaching out to their agent wanting to go to Washington all of a sudden. It's like, okay, what a bunch of crap. Like who's he buddies with within the Commanders organization that's, like, feeding him that garbage to sort of run with? Like how did this happen? Like, all of a sudden Dan Snyder's out. We've got new ownership, so let's try and turn the table.
It used to be a destinational place, man. I mean, if you understand the history of that franchise and how amazing and fanatical that fan base has been through the years, I mean, it's pretty freaking phenomenal what they have been and what they've represented to sports and to the NFL. And that was it was deteriorated and it was put to bed. It was put in hibernation. And now it's, with winning and with the way this new ownership group has, I mean, hell, I'll personally put in there, I'm going back this weekend. Like,
are you?
And it's been like literally like 2 decades. But they, shouts out to Tim Hightower, shouts out to ownership.
What a Tim?
Yeah, they've been.
What up, Schefter?
They've been.
Hey, don't get hit by a car too on that road that wraps around the stadium. I mean, that thing's like playing Frogger, buddy. So be careful out there.
So when did this get put into the works?
I mean, it's been like 2-3 years of conversations, man. Just, conversations. Because
You're a patient guy.
I just didn't want to reopen any old wounds from everything that took place. So, but it's a great conversation taking place there. They're aware of why I would come back. It's always been about the community for me, not about me. So I'm not coming back there to like raise my hand and wave at people and stuff like that. If I came back, I would want to be a part of making sure we further what they're doing community-wise with our military and with our vets. So they were okay with, the reasoning why I would be okay with coming back. And so it's a good thing, man. It seems as though they get it. And I think that to the original point, that's why I think that's why they're trending in the right direction.
Because you're coming back.
No, not because I'm coming back, because they're doing things like bringing guys like me back. They understand the people part of what's going on. That's what Dan never understood, the people part. He just didn't treat people right. He didn't handle things the right way, and therefore you were on borrowed time with how you handle things for that organization and how he handled things with you.
So is it going to be like they'll bring you out and like
it's not bringing me out? And bringing me out as from out of here?
No, like presentation to the crowd and to the people there.
I'm not ready for that.
All those seats they had to cover up because nobody was showing up over the years.
Yeah, we're not doing that. Like I said, I'm not a mascot.
Are you going to consult on the new Sean Taylor statue instead of that plastic thing they put up the last time?
No, I'm not going to do that.
By the way, I could give my kid a box of Lincoln Logs, and he could put together a better statue of what they put up for Sean Taylor. That's a disgrace.
Dang.
That is a flat-out disgrace.
Well, that's not what they did. The theys are gone now. Those who did that aren't there anymore.
Those people?
Yeah, those people. It's a new day and age, man. So they're a team that is showing that they can be respected as a team. I mean, there's a lot of excitement being generated based off of how they feel. Jayden Daniels is the real deal, man. Like, I don't think there's any debate there. He's the real deal. So they look pretty good. They look good on defense. They can get to the quarterback finally. And they have some major injuries. Like, you don't have John Allen in the lineup. That's a big blow, but they've continued to kind of trend up. So
Dan Quinn, the favorite to win Coach of the Year at this point.
Yeah.
So,
but I would put Dan Quinn in there. I would put Campbell in there. For what it's worth, I would put Andy Reid in there. How are they undefeated and playing the way
they never get credit to when they're undefeated? Yeah. When you're one of the top teams, you're undefeated. It's like, oh yeah, I know they should be. It's Patrick Mahomes. It's like, no, dude, it's tough.
It's tough.
It's tough
man.
to do that week in and week out.
And they're finding ways to win.
Jonas, who would you vote for, Jonas? I mean, who would you put money on right now to win it, Jonas? Would you put on DQ?
Probably, just because they've been so bad. I would say, like, Dan Campbell. This was what people expected, so he's not going to get credit for it. I think they're the best team in the league, but I would still go probably Dan Quinn. Kevin O'Connell would get a little
Do you
love.
keep saying that because you want Midwest people to think like, oh yeah, Jonas is one of us? He keeps picking the Lions, man. He keeps doing it.
Well, no, listen, I'm a Dan Campbell supporter. I think he got buried by a lot of people when he first got there. Everyone just assumed they were going to be the same old
Didn't you bury
Lions.
him about the kneecap
No,
comments?
I'm not a big fan of Dan Campbell.
Didn't you talk about how you don't have like strong legs and you found it rather offensive?
I mean, that is fair, and I do have shallow kneecaps, which is what led to my dislocation years and years ago.
I don't even know if they're shallow. They're tiny. Like, you have tiny kneecaps. LaVar, look at his kneecaps.
Well, he covers
those
them
things
every day.
are not made to withstand any sort of punishment.
I don't think I've ever seen his legs before, Q. Not saying I was
you
looking.
might get blinded by it. That's one thing.
Oh, they are pale.
Dang.
Yeah, they're pale.